Good evening and welcome to the news today. It's an unusual exchange between the UN and the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The regime hitting back at criticism from UN envoy Staffan de Mistura over deadly airstrikes, saying the body lacks objectivity. But the UN is also now floating a peace plan to involve members of the government and opposition. Ellie Hochenberg explains.
In a rare showcase of unity and after 2 years of disagreements, the UN Security Council has unanimously approved a push for Syrian peace talks, while the death toll in one of the bloodiest government air attacks on a rebel-held town outside Damascus has risen to over 100. The agreed-on text, which was drafted by the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, adopts the proposal of UN mediator Staffan de Mistura, inviting Syria's warring parties to take part in 4 UN-led working groups on how to implement a roadmap to peace in the war-battered country.
The Security Council stresses that the only sustainable solution to the current crisis in Syria is through an inclusive and Syrian-led political process that meets the legitimate aspirations of the Syrian people.
Among other issues, the Geneva Communique demands that all parties commit to the establishment of an inclusive transitional governing body with full executive powers. Meanwhile, the core question on the role of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad remains unresolved, with his 2 main allies, Iran and Russia, passionately advocating he stay in power.
If some of our partners believe that it is imperative to agree beforehand that the president will resign by the end of the transitional period, then this position is unacceptable for Russia.
Yet the Syrian government was less than excited to hear the news from the Security Council. On Tuesday, the regime accused the UN Special Envoy of bias, as it has several times in the past, saying his recent statements condemning the deadly government airstrikes show his lack of objectivity. In the meantime, the brutal fighting in the country continues, and the deteriorating humanitarian crisis affecting the population is left without any real solution.
I appeal to every party engaged in violence and fighting to protect civilians and to respect international humanitarian law.
The peace initiative is set to begin in September, but this is the Middle East, and until then, anything can happen.